I like me some London, Ontario. I spent 1 year just absolutely going mental in that town. I'm not allowed back. So we're going to talk to Jeff Leeson. Off the Cuff is the name of the special. He's, as I said, been on Just for Laughs. He's been on MTV, Sirius XM. He's going to come in studio next, and I'm pretty sure going to tear it up pretty good. Here is some of his work.
What if I could come out and I could talk to a guy in a jean jacket and a t-shirt and some jeans with a Magnum P.I. mustache that he's going to go home and treat his wife to a little Swiffer wet jet later on? What if I could do that? What if we could talk about this guy who's on fucking disability because he said that his back hurt one time, and him and his wife have a confusing fucking time because her name is weird and his name is very, very easy. He's Pete, she's Lowell, but they got to spend an hour and a half going through what the fuck the name is. What if I could do that? What if I could talk to Jeremy, who's the most beautiful man I've ever seen, who sells millions and millions of dollars worth of Sun Life financial insurance, and on the part-time, he models for Calvin Klein and Walmart and all these fucking companies that he then turns around and sells life insurance to every one of their employees. What if I could talk to Justin and Dustin and Tony and Amy, who have been married for 3 years, but together for 8 because Tony wouldn't pull the fucking trigger, and she kept pressuring him, going, Tony, I get it, you like the tight shirts. Stop buying them and buy me a fucking ring, you piece of shit. It's been 8 fucking years, Tony. Put a ring on it, you motherfucker. What if I could do that, huh? What if I could talk to Justin and Dustin, who met at a party and they were both wearing different colored plaid with a hat on their head, and they said, hey, I think we're soulmates for life. Let's go everywhere together. Let's get our buddy who shot something earlier today. He shot himself in the foot. He probably shot his dick off 3 years ago because he got hammered at a party with Justin and Dustin when they sold their show to TLC and celebrated a little too hard. And then there's the guy right here.
Yeah, see, here's the thing about that is, as Jeff is going on, Jeff Leeson now in studio with us, that explanation of how a show like that would actually get on TLC, I think I believe you, Jeff. I don't think that,
no, it's
I don't think that's that
definitely
far of a
doable.
stretch, is it?
Yeah, it wasn't out of the realm of possibility. I mean, I actually am pretty convinced when this comes out, those guys are getting a show on TLC. They're getting a show way before I am, for sure. Absolutely.
Jeff, thanks so much for coming in studio.
Thanks for having me.
We're live, as you know, on YouTube, on the dedicated YouTube channel. For those of you that are watching on rawmikerichards.com, Jeff Leeson, they say a tender
What are
age.
we looking at here?
See, there's a camera there. There's a
that's
camera
the
there.
camera.
And then
Oh,
there's a
wow.
3-shot.
Right there.
And it's,
Here we
yeah.
go.
Oh, no.
Okay.
No, we're going...
This is like a serious setup.
Oh,
right here.
it's
My
yeah.
goodness.
Now all of a sudden, see,
We spare no
all of a sudden things have
This is
changed.
huge. Yeah,
Things have
the-
changed for you now. All of a sudden.
All of a sudden, I've
all of
upped
a
my
sudden-
game here.
Yeah.
You guys have a budget.
Yeah, I was
You
gonna
guys
say.
have
Go, wait a minute. I'm not gonna do the B-list shit. I'm going. I got to bring my A material now. Out of London, Ontario, as I said, I'm not a graduate of Fanshawe. I mean, I was there 1 year and it was really bad. It was fun. Loved the town.
You're like most Fanshawe
Yes.
students,
No,
not
of course
a
I am.
graduate. Just
Yeah.
kind of went there. Yeah.
I had a guy.
I went to Fanshawe too.
Oh,
I
of course you did.
Never enrolled, never paid. I just used to go, chill, hang out.
Well, it was like you could smoke in there in the day, like they had little desks where you could smoke, and what was the Beef Baron was big in my life there. The Oxbox, but I hear it's gone.
I don't even know what that is.
Okay, see, you don't even know what it is. Seeps is probably still there, is it?
Seeps is still there. Yeah, Seeps is like, I think it's still and always has been the like typical Western.
Yeah.
All the
This is where you had to do your
Western
best
guys and-
line, like at Joe
Yeah.
Cool's, and you go to parties, and I used to tell girls that I went to Western, and they'd look at you, and I said the long hair, and they're like,
Right.
you totally don't go to Western. Look like one of those drummers from Fanshawe College. Like, all right. Yeah, I
Two
was.
things.
Yeah,
First of
yeah.
all, dead on impression of a London girl.
Yeah.
Like, no, I've seen a lot of London girl impressions. That was like
It's pretty good.
dead on.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
God,
I
I
don't
lo-
even know what the second thing was. I was just so taken by that.
I love that town. It's kind of a fun town to be from. Or if you live there,
Yeah.
is it not?
No, it's fun if you're a student or you're young, early 20s. It's a great town because I mean Richmond Row, you got bar, and then you got like bar, pub. You got whatever you want. If you're looking to just drink, there's a place for that. If you're looking to have like a dance night or whatever, then there's that too. So.
You don't seem like that though. You're not a dance man. I don't see a lot of
you don't
dancing
think I'm
coming
a
from
dancer?
you. No. Do you see
Really?
dancing coming from this? No.
But that's when
him. He
he
yeah,
seems
no,
like
he would.
polka. Doesn't he seem like he's a good polka guy?
Well,
Like he knows or line dancing. Have you ever taken a line dancing
no,
class?
no.
I'm from
I don't know,
Western
it doesn't
I'm
seem
from
No.
Western Canada, though.
Dirty dancing. That's
Yeah, that's me in a nutshell.
he did. So you go to Fanshawe, and like a lot of us who end up going in different career paths and not even related to what we studied there. So comedy, how's this come up for me? Because just so you know, Jeff has a really unique style. Some guys will work the crowd for a little bit. They go into the crowd, and then you get on with the 30 minutes, if you got 30 minutes of the show you're going to do. Your entire show is working a crowd?
Yeah, the whole thing.
That is hard.
Thank you. That's very nice of you. I
Because
appreciate
some
it.
guys try to do it, and I'm like, don't. Get them out of the crowd. Get them out. Like,
Right.
what do you got to do? It's like,
Yeah.
oh, yeah, you're from Spain? Well, that's crazy. Don't do that. Don't work the
I
crowd.
might add that to
Yeah.
the act. Yeah.
That sounds-
You know what's funny?
crazy.
I'm gonna start doing it, but I won't even have a cigarette.
Yeah, yeah.
It's just gonna.
Well,
be
this is
like,
what I do too. I'm a
hell?
great fake smoker.
Yeah,
Got to tell you.
Yeah, your impressions.
yeah,
and-
no,
and,
you're like, where does
and
it
the
end?
act outs? I didn't know. I mean, I knew you were a talented guy, but I had no idea what I was getting into here.
So the special though,
Yeah.
this is is it one gig or is this did you cut from different places? How does this work?
Just one. Because the thing with my style is, for most guys, you can tape 2 shows, same night, same venue. You wear the same thing. You just cut them in and out.
Yeah.
Best reaction. With what I do, it's not possible because
once it goes, you're going.
Yeah, it's and as you kind of showed there with the clip at the end, I do a wrap up of everything that we've talked about, and so it's kind of like the story. I call it the story of the night, and because each and every show is we're creating it right in front of them with the help of the audience. So it's telling the story of the night and never again, and you can't tell it ever again.
That is exhausting. Mentally, it's exhausting because you're on fire all the time. Like it's got to be that stream of consciousness.
Right.
And once you see 2 people,
Right.
but it's gotta have material.
Exactly. It has to be funny. If you notice, each thing it has a setup, which is usually the question or whatever I notice about them. It has a joke, and then it has a punchline. So it's writing, but it's writing on the spot, and it's
Yes.
all based on curiosity. Nothing that I'm doing is like to make fun of people or to go at someone or anything like that. And it's not leading somewhere. A lot of guys ask a question because they have a bit.
Sure.
Mine is legit. I'm just curious about why they wore that, why they look like that, why they act like that.
But once you go down that road,
Right.
Once you go down the road, you have to be a little fearless because as it's pouring out of you and you're on a run,
Yeah.
there's a guy in a wheelchair,
Yeah.
right? So you gotta go.
Careful,
You kind of have to go there. You have to go there now.
Exactly. I had a guy once in Florida. He had a fake leg, and he pulled it off.
Oh no.
I said something like
no.
it was crazy. I said we were going back and forth. It was really cool. Like he was good at
Yeah.
back and
Sure.
forth. And I said like you're so good I should give you a hand. And he goes, well, how about a leg? And
Oh my
pulls it
God.
off. And I'm like, what the? And the whole crowd, like, they were like, whoa. And then at the end of the show, and I don't know where this has ever gone, but at the end of the show, I have a picture of me holding his leg with him. It's me and him like holding the leg. And yeah, so you never know. That's the thing, is you never know. And so you can't second guess. It's you have to be, for me, when I'm doing a show, my mind has to be completely clear. If there's stuff going on in life, like I can't be concerned about it. It has to be, leave it at the door, come in, do the show, and then whatever I decide to go down, it has to. You can't be like you can't be
No, there's no stuttering.
Can't
There's
be.
no, and when you see the special, by the way, the special comes out. When's it come out?
January 26th.
On the Comedy Channel, or
It's going to be on Amazon Prime.
Oh, okay.
Video, whatever that's called.
Yeah.
It's also, everything will be sold through my website, jeffleesoncomedy.com.
Oh,
There's
okay.
a lot of ways to
Can I get it on Spotify? Because I'm a big Spotify
Yeah,
guy.
it's going to be on Spotify.
Good.
The audio, there's an album version too. So the album is going to be on iTunes, Spotify, and we're just waiting to hear back on it getting picked up by some of the Sirius XM comedy channels.
Have you always had this style of comedy, or did you
No.
just because you probably started off, you write your shit, and
Yeah.
then you do your 30 minutes or your 15 or whatever it is, and good night.
Right. So I started doing comedy when I was 14 in high school. That was my first, and my first few shows were shows I did on my own and talent shows at school.
I was going to say because you're in 14, you're not working yucks because
No.
you can't get in because you can't get in yet.
Till 16. I actually got in at 16 because my mom okay, I called and I was like, I want to do amateur night. And they're like, okay, it's on Thursday. And they called on Tuesday and they go, we have to cancel amateur night. You're the only one that signed up.
Yeah.
And I was
this is in London, right?
This is in London.
Yeah,
London
okay.
Yuck Yucks.
Yeah.
And I was so devastated. It was like my dream got ripped out of my hands. And I'm 16 and my mom goes, what happened? And I'm like, oh, yeah, they're not doing amateur night. And she goes, well, aren't they still doing a show? And I said, yeah, they have their pros, but they're canceling amateur night. She goes, well, why don't you just do that? And I'm like, well, I'm an amateur. I'm not a pro. And she goes, hold on. And she goes away. She comes back 10 minutes later. She goes, you're on Thursday night. She called. She like booked me my first gig.
That's awesome.
As like a pushy agent. And so
Yeah.
So at 16, I did my first Yuck Yucks. But the first honestly, I would say 10 years. I mean, that's 18 years ago that I started. First 10 years was learning how to do comedy, which is jokes.
You know, Jeff, it's such a, and we have a lot of comedians over the years on different shows that have come on, and the idea that people think that it's easy, just go in front of your family. Trust me, your family will think you suck. Like, you really don't have any way of segueing one way or the other. You do material that's kind of hackneyed a little bit. You have to go out there literally, and the first time I went to Yuckus when I was a kid, so in grade 12.
Right.
But I go down when it first started at so Breslin's there, and it's the Yorkville, the original one.
Yeah.
So I'm sitting there. My dad drives me down. And, of course, I have no idea what the other material's like because I'm going to do impressions. I'm going to be like a 17-year-old impressionist. This is what I'm going down to do.
Well, of course. Did you lead with the girl?
I did not do the London girl.
Oh.
No.
Probably didn't go well then.
No. So I get out there, and but I'm like last. I'm last. But Michael McDonald was there, Bruce Bell, Frenchie McFarlane, all these guys who've been on for a long time. It was really amazing. Except the guys go up there who weren't exactly headliners,
right?
But it's blue material. This little guy who looked like Squiggy, but like a Andrew Dice Clay goes, you know the problem with Jewish girls? They got mustaches and they tickle your cock when you get the fucking blowjob. And now from Stouffville, Ontario. What would Johnny Carson say if he was in a supermarket? Well, here's the thing. I mean, it was like people were laughing, but I think there was like, this is weird. All of a sudden, there's this kid.
The toughest part is having your dad in the same place as you.
Yeah, church organist too. English teacher. He was a cool guy. That's why we went down there. But still,
my mom used to drive me for the first few years. My mom drove me to every show, and I used to have a joke about calling my mom a slut, and like. There was honestly a couple times I really remember where on the word slut, I saw her in the crowd and we like locked eyes.
No.
Oh no.
It was it was so
that's
weird.
just so bad.
Because a lot of these shows they're poorly attended. A lot of the right. So she's like,
you're watching.
She's like one of 9 people.
Oh,
you
God.
know. You know who your mom is. When
Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh boy.
The best, worst to some, but best is my grandma. My grandma used to come, and she's Scottish, and she used to heckle.
Oh,
She would
geez.
like if my grandma was at a show. There's no way you didn't know my grandma was there. Like she forced me to like let people know.
Like heckling you?
Heckling me, not anybody else. She was fine when everybody else was up. She would just sit quietly. But if I came up and said something, like she would just. I remember.
Like what kind of things is she saying to you?
This was the best. This is the best one. Okay, my grandma was like, when she was 70 years old, she looked 40. Okay, so very, very like good looking woman, very good genes and all that, right? So when I say what I'm about to say, it's not like a grandmother, old decrepit woman saying. Okay, so I'm doing a show. We're in London, a place called the Locker Room. Had you ever
In Locker Room in where?
London?
No, that was not there. No.
Yeah, that makes sense. They're not in business anymore.
No.
I think part of it was our comedy show, by the way. Anyway, so we're doing a thing, and I was the host, and I would book the acts and bring guys in from Michigan and Toronto, and it was a way for me. I was young. I was really young, like early 20s, and it was a way for me to kind of just integrate into the comedy community a little more. So one night I'm doing a thing and asking questions, and I find out at this table it's a bunch of people that are married, and it turned out that there was 4 couples, and somehow they had all slept with each other.
Oh.
They had been married. It was
boy.
a wife and an ex-wife and an ex-husband, and then 2 people dated, and they had all been
Yep.
together, and it was.
And these people decide it's a good idea to go to a comedy club.
They decided, out of their own, that they should sit front row, only table in the front for the show. And probably thinking this won't come up, that we've all
Yeah, of course.
banged each other at one point. And so we go through, and it was like a 10-minute, probably long sequence. And at the end, I'm like, so everybody here is basically sleeping with everybody? There was a laugh, a sort of pause, and then from the back of the room, you hear this Scottish woman go, "Can I go sit at that table?" And just like that, like erupted. People like applause break. It was amazing. Yeah, it was so.
That's awesome.
But that's the kind of stuff she would do. She came to Florida once. I would do a tour down there, and she brought all these people from her. It was not a trailer park, but like it's like a
Yeah, no,
mobile home.
Yeah,
but
sure.
You know,
No,
but they're not mobile.
No, they're not going anywhere.
There's like a huge argument every
Florida,
year.
Florida,
Yeah.
you're either 20 or 70, right? I mean,
Yeah,
it's-
it is. That is the case.
So-
And at this thing,
Yeah.
if you're like under 50, they're like, "What are you doing here?" Every day there's like some, and it's not a security person. It's because old people have nothing to do, so they just come out and like watch you. Everybody knew what was going on, but she brought all these people to a show, and just it was like a pub, like a bar, and there's young people at the show, and then just a bunch of 70-year-old people, and my grandma sat like front row center,
Oh,
like
man.
the dawn.
Oh,
like
jeez.
impressed me, just and not like, "Oh, you're my grandson, I'll laugh at you because you're my grandson." It was like, "You better be funny tonight." Or, I brought my peeps here.
That's what I'm saying. There's just so much pressure in doing what you do. Darren Frosty comes on the show. Rob Pugh, I think, is hysterical.
Rob's amazing.
Yeah, and so and I said, so on the business side of comedy, how's that going? He goes, "What are you kidding?" So, I was down in south of Windsor, or whatever it was, like Turkey Point or something, and he got paid in sandwiches.
Oh yeah, I think I've done that.
But yeah, I was going to say, people also assume that, so you're going to have this comedy special. Now, things are going well. So you're doing okay. You're making a living.
Yeah,
You're
I
kind
mean,
of.
I haven't been
yeah.
to Turkey Point yet.
Yes, well, now the sandwich
Dream your dreams.
gig is
you know
out.
what
Yeah.
I mean? No,
But it's hard. It's hard to make a.
It takes forever. I mean, I've been doing this 18 years as much as you can possibly do it, and only in the last, I would say, 5 has it become where it's, I don't need to pick up part-time jobs or whatever.
Right.
That would. But I mean, I took I took a lot of the responsibility on myself of booking my own shows, doing my own stuff, getting my own corporate work.
That will turn out better for you, though. I think that you did that. I think that. I think the benefits are huge of doing that.
Oh, for sure. Well, number one, I have way more control over what I do, and number two, I'm not sitting around waiting for the phone to ring. I'm picking up the phone and hustling on my own terms because I just wanted to do comedy. When I started as a kid, it was just I would watch Comedy at Club 54 with Ben Guyatt every day.
Oh God,
And
that was on every day. Was
every
it
day.
at Channel 11?
Channel 11
CHCH
and
or
then,
whatever. And then the Comedy Network.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and it
but-
was
yeah.
Club 54 followed by Just for Laughs, and every single day I would rush home and watch it. And in my mind, I was like, man, if I could do that, like if I could just get up and make people laugh,
Sure.
what a life that would be.
So your earliest influences or memories of a comic that you said, I got it. If this guy is on,
Yeah,
and that at that point before you're doing it professionally,
yeah.
what were those names?
Andrew Gross was a. Do you know him?
Yeah, Andrew Gross. Yeah.
Yeah, he had it was on Comedy Club 54. He had a set that the audience was going bananas. Every single thing he said, he was talking about having a bed in a bag, and his wife, how impressed he was with his wife, and how she started making illegal substitutions out of other beds and bags, and she went up and said, "This has been opened. Do we get a discount?" And she was the one that opened it, and she was the one that
Sure.
said, and so it wasn't that I found it funny, because I was too young to know what a bed and a bag was.
Yeah,
I didn't even buy my own bed. Like, I didn't know.
You're
I
right.
didn't even know you
Yeah.
had to buy
Yeah.
stuff for a bed. It just appeared there. I'm so young. But I just remember watching the crowd and being like, holy shit, this guy is look what he's doing to these people. How do you do that? And so he was a big one. Leo Dufour, who's a guy out of Windsor.
So a
he
lot of
was
Canadian
huge.
comics you're talking about when you were young. That's really interesting.
From that
From
Club 54,
yeah.
and then Jerry Seinfeld was the first like famous comedian that I was just fascinated by. I was just fascinated that I thought of things that he was saying and was like, yeah, you're right, right, and then it was less about the reaction. It was more about the way that I was like, oh, I kind of think like this. Like, what does that mean?
Right.
You know, could I do that? And then, so the first little bit of my career, first year, I would say, maybe two, I was like pretty clean.
So, and here's the other thing too, because I think a lot of guys will say that they start either really clean,
Yeah.
and then sort of fall in the middle or go totally blue, or they think it's funny that they got to start off so blue. Like this is the way to get
Right.
laughs, right? You see that on amateur nights where guys are like, you know, everything's, you know, just so foul, so
Sure.
profane that it's difficult. And then you're talking about these influences of comedy. So you kind of look at the way someone thinks, and you're saying Jerry Seinfeld. But Jerry Seinfeld is like a wordsmith, and he's worked on how to inflect a certain word in a line, and he's done it 9 million times. It's heavy writing.
Right.
Where what you do now is almost the complete opposite, where
Right.
you're not sitting down because your workout is, once they say, ladies and gentlemen, Jeff Leeson.
Right.
And now you start. It's so hard what you're doing.
And you know what's crazy is, because that's how I started, was writing and trying to fit. And I just found everything that I worked the hardest on got the least response, and whatever I would say that just popped into my mind about someone, huge. And I'm like, what in the hell is happening here? And what is wrong with me? Maybe I suck at this. and I had a friend, as Fidel. He's
Hey,
not-
Fidel.
he's-
Fidel.
as-
Hola, Fidel.
uh,
¿Cómo estás?
That's amazing. He's not even Mexican.
No, I was going to say he's from Stratford. Probably from Stratford or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's from
Yeah.
Strat. Yeah, you know him?
Yeah. Fidel from Stratford. I don't. The number of Fidels I know from Stratford. There's Pedro, Pablo. These aren't stereotypical names anyway. So
not at all.
no.
Anyway, yeah. So he came to a couple shows and he watched me and he goes, "Why don't you just do like all the stuff about the crowd?" And I'm like, "Buddy, I just did 8 minutes of it in a 45-minute set, and that was the hardest 8 minutes of the whole thing." He
Oh,
goes,
sure.
"Yeah, but it got the best response. Do a whole show out of it." And I'm like, "It's not possible. It's just not possible. Like, it's way too hard." And so I was getting, around 2009, I was getting really bored of doing my act, and I wasn't improving it. And no matter, every night I would go to the
So
hotel.
did you have a critical voice, or is it only your voice right now that's sort of going over the material, or do you have family? You said you had a friend. Do
Yeah.
you have much influence on when this is all going on?
My mom was always
Yeah.
the biggest one because she saw like every show. At that time, as this guy Ez that I was hanging out with, he was really influential, and then just a couple other comics that I would sort of hang around. But for the most part, it was me. It was just, and I'm the hardest on myself. Like, I'm the first one to say that
course.
was terrible.
Yeah.
I say that's terrible when people go, "That was good."
Yeah, you
I'm
walk
like,
on the
"Yeah,
stage
you
and go,
don't know."
"I suck,"
Right.
and they're going, "But they're standing."
Right.
Yeah, but the ending was brutal.
Right, because
Yeah.
you can always. I mean,
Sure.
I think anybody, even like with your show, some people might be like, "Great show," and you're like, "Yeah, but we didn't do this or this." You're always looking to
Oh yeah.
improve.
No,
right?
Russell, you can't see him, also known as roast beef. He's always going, "Yeah, I was awesome today." You're not even on the show.
he's never had a
not even on
bad
the
show.
show.
Right.
We're so great today. We're so great. I make out with myself. I don't think you can. I don't even think that's a thing. That's Russell. You can do 20 minutes on him, no problem.
Yeah.
See, he's hiding behind like a lit up umbrella right now. But
Why do
normally,
they call him roast beef?
oh, boy. Okay. Well, That started with Dave.
Yeah, wasn't that time?
All the guys got
gangsters
arrested
from Montreal. Yeah, so a bunch of gangsters got arrested in Montreal about 6 months ago, and they all had nicknames.
Okay.
And one of them was a pudgy, fat,
Yeah,
short,
which
guy
he's
named
not,
Rose,
but-
which he's not even close.
Because the other ones didn't fit. It was like, hey, Tommy the Jew. Well, Russell
his
Graham.
name's not
It's
Tommy.
not. Yeah, it's not.
That's
It's
right.
not. Well,
If it
there's
was Tommy,
Yeah.
well,
Right.
So it was
yeah.
like,
that would have fit perfect.
It was like Ronnie roast beef. I go roast beef. He could be roast beef. Yeah,
Right.
sure.
Right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. There you go. See, we just gave you material right there that
yeah,
you'll never
his name was
use.
Tommy.
Do you get people saying that? Hey, I got a joke you can use. How often do you get that?
Oh, all the time.
Yeah.
But the greatest thing is people do it after a show where they just saw that I don't tell jokes. And a guy will come and be like, you can use this next time. And I'm like, not unless you're there, because as you can see, I don't. So I get all the time. I mean.
But that's very unique. And I keep saying how hard it is, and the audience going, okay, Mike, tell them how hard it is again. To actually work a crowd for.
Are they?
So what are you doing?
Tweeting it?
What are
How
you
do
doing?
you know?
45 minutes? Not 45. 45 minutes?
45 to 60.
45
The average
to
like
60.
headlining show, yeah. I've done 90. I did 90 minutes.
Does anyone?
sometimes.
Okay, there must be at some point some guy just flipping out. Didn't like what your read was on him.
Oh, yeah.
And goes sideways, which I think the crowd would probably.
Not. Yeah.
They either turn on you or they think you're the greatest guy in the world.
Right. I've never had anything go like, because I can read. I'm fast at reading people.
Right.
So if I ask a guy a question and I can see that he's.
So if you're getting
Yeah, I don't even.
you don't even go near
I don't
him,
even
right?
touch that
Yeah.
guy unless it's at the end of the show and I can call him out for being like that the whole
Yeah.
time, or during the wrap up I can weave him in somehow.
So do you like Rickles? Were you a Rickles fan at all? I mean, he would be so much over. So Rickles you must love Rickles.
Love Don Rickles. Yeah.
Lisa Lampanelli that must be, or are you not a fan?
I like Lisa Lampanelli, but a much bigger Don Rickles fan,
Right,
for sure.
Because I
yeah.
thought he was like one of the best that ever lived
Oh,
at
he
doing
was-
that.
he was
even though I
amazing.
mean it's just. But again, it's reading a crowd.
It is, yeah, totally. And he was the master of it. Mike Bullard too.
Mike Bullard's
got
a lot of crowd work.
I got a chance
Yeah.
to work with Mike Bullard
yeah.
like a couple years ago, and he was another guy. Like I watched his late night talk show. I had a late night talk show in London that was based on Mike Bullard, but not based on him, but I watched him a lot. when I
Was it an
growing up.
affiliate? What channel had that been on?
Rogers TV in London. Yeah, we were.
Were you going to the Beef Baron for free? Like, were you getting free dances, or what was?
No.
In sandwiches? Were there?
No, I had to pay extra.
Yeah, go to Joe Cool's and get some free nachos.
Yeah, they wouldn't even give us sandwiches. No, it was it was awesome. We ended up being on every night, and we were one of the highest like independent productions. We weren't a Rogers TV production. We were our own thing.
Right.
But they they gave us a lot of like equipment and volunteers and stuff. So it was awesome. And it was all kind of based on Mike Bullard, and I finally got a chance to work with him, and he was so hilarious. And I had to follow him. He was hosting and I was headlining, and I had to follow like this guy that I idolized. It was
He's
crazy.
the only other guy I can think of. It's funny that you mentioned that, because he's the only other guy I can think of that actually does substantial crowd work and is very
Right.
comfortable with it. Like
Right.
Mike's a longtime pro, so he goes out there. But I see often guys want to get in there because they want to get to either a bit or a line that they've used somewhere, and
Of
you can see
course.
it coming. They keep going till they can get someone where they can actually deliver that material. That's
Yeah.
not what we're talking about with you.
No. But it's funny you say that, because sort of how I was transitioning into it was my setups all became questions to the crowd because I had a joke about something. So if I had a joke about, I don't know, like a date, I would be like, "Are you guys on a date?"
Right.
And then, and it all became that. And what would end up happening is I would ask a question, I would have a response, that would get a laugh, and then I would go into a bit that would, of course, not get a laugh.
Jeff Leeson in studio here on rawmicrichards.com. You're watching on the dedicated YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe, that little red thing, or you see my head just below.
click.
Yeah, just click on that and subscribe.
There you go. You mentioned you book your own shows. How busy do you keep yourself, and how busy do you want to keep yourself, ideally, in a perfect world?
Yeah, ideally it's every weekend. Fridays and Saturdays are the big nights. So ideally I try to keep it to no less than 2 shows a week. Like that's kind of my minimum. Depending on the time of year, that's easier said than done. This right after Christmas, corporate Christmas season is huge for staff parties and things like that. So, it's like Wednesday to Sunday. Some
And corporate gigs are good. They actually pay. Those aren't bad.
They're great for the pay.
Yeah.
They can be horrendous for everything else. Because
they're just terrified of what you're doing.
Yeah, I mean, now what's good about what I do
Don't
is
make fun of the company.
Yeah,
Don't make fun of the company.
right. I'll never forget this woman. She booked me through my website, which clearly shows what I do. Okay, she booked through the website. I get to the gig, whatever. Where I'm like 2 minutes from going on. She goes, "By the way, just so you know, like, don't talk to anybody." And I'm like,
have you seen the?
I'm like,
act?
don't talk to anybody. What do you mean? And she goes like, don't be talking to anybody like in the crowd. Just do your act. And I'm like, well, you're kind of that's
You
kind
got
of
the wrong guy.
You're telling me to not talk to anybody and do my act, which is talking to people. So
But see, you would have heard it all, and you're still a young guy, but you're going to hear it all. There was when they had the old Ontario Place Forum, and I was going to open up for it was Andre Philippe Gagnon.
Oh yeah.
And so I'm going to go on, and I'm working at 99.9. So I had because I'd done stand up, so I'm going to go out there, and of course it's all impressions.
Yeah.
And then that person came by to me before I go on stage. Thanks for doing it, Michel. Just so you know. Andre Philippe does impressions, so just make sure when you go out to warm up the crowd that you don't do any impressions.
Oh, jeez.
So I go out there, and
What'd you do?
I got weird. Oh, I did weird stuff. I was pulling girls out of the crowd, making them do like push-ups and stuff. I'm serious. It got
Dude, push-ups.
Dude, I'm like,
wow.
what is? And then
Revolutionary.
the things that I said, I'd be one of those guys that Oprah was talking about now. I mean, it was just weird what I did to these people. I don't know what got in my head, but they took everything away from
Has
me.
anything come out about you?
No,
recently?
apparently not yet.
In whatever year,
No,
this guy made me do push-ups in front of everybody
Yeah,
before
it's
the
like-
Andre Philippe Gagnon big show.
Oh yeah, no, but you do have these weird stipulations, and sometimes you wonder, do people even know your act before they hire you?
That day I didn't. I'm like, she's the only one. Nobody else would have even remotely seen the website. She just had to run it by the boss. So, yeah, you get that all the time. That was the only one where somebody was like, don't talk to anybody. Other people have been, don't.
What did you end up doing in that situation?
I talked about them.
Okay.
I was going to say,
I didn't talk to them.
what about airplane peanuts? Isn't that cookie? I mean, like,
Yeah, now I do have an act if I need it. I
Yeah,
do have
yeah.
jokes from years ago, and I can sort of make stuff up as I go. But in that case, I forget what the stage was like, but I did about 10 minutes on the stage, and then talked about their place settings and a little bit about one thing I love to do is try to pick out who's the boss, and
Right.
so I go by suit. Whoever has the nicest suit, they look powerful, and so a lot of that gets laughs because I'm not asking any questions. I'm not talking to them. I'm just talking about them. And actually, the show went really well, and she was perfectly
That's good.
happy with it.
Good.
All they don't want to do is lose their job. They're just trying not to get fired. That's what they really mean. Please don't get me
That's the goal
fired.
of the Christmas party.
and you must have. I always find it also strange too when a working comic that doesn't have like an overly thick skin, because you kind of have to have that. And I think it was
Right.
one of Mark Breslin's guys. Was it Larry Horowitz? I think it was one of his guys.
He's one of the guys. Yeah.
Okay, so he's one of the guys. So he goes out and it's a corporate event. It's like Big Brothers and Big Sisters. Yeah. So they have me emceeing the thing, and he's the stand-up for the night. Half of his material was on how much he'd lost a lot of weight or something. He'd lost all this weight.
Yeah.
Like half of his material, Dave. So he's out there and he does the whole thing, and then he's done. He's all finished. He said, "Hey, Larry Horowitz, everyone, get off the stage, you fat pig." Anyway, the look on his face. Everyone gets a big laugh. Some people are shocked. Everyone laughs. Oh, he didn't enjoy that. I'm going, are you serious as a comic? You tell me that you lost all this weight and and I call you fat. Seriously.
Kind of like
He's all mad.
our vegan friend. That might be the biggest guy we know.
Oh yeah.
Really?
Oh yeah. So when's that kick in? Isn't that the reason that you eat plants and dandelions, or I don't know. I don't get that thing. I don't get vegan. No, you're not vegan. You're no.
No.
He's not a no.
No.
Look, I have color in my face.
Yeah,
I feel good.
You can
I'm
stand up.
I'm alive.
Yeah.
I'm awake. Yeah. I don't need a nap halfway through this.
Now, what about comics now? Because again, for you, it's now that you're a working comic, you're really not borrowing from anybody now. You found your own style, but which I think is sensational. I like Dave Attell as one of my favorites.
Oh, yeah.
Dave Attell just kills
Yeah.
me.
Have you seen Road Work? His,
Oh yeah.
Like where he goes to
Yeah.
different places.
Now here's
Loved
another
it,
guy that, you know, even though he's got a ton of writing, he's got a ton of material, is great. Another guy who has a lot of material that doesn't really work the crowd, Sebastian Maniscalco, but he's
Love him too.
he's just massive right now.
Yeah,
Huge.
He's blown up. I remember, I've seen him at different points throughout his career, like where from nobody knowing him to that Vince Vaughn, whatever it's called, Wild West comedy.
Yeah,
show.
that's where I saw him first.
And
Yeah.
I think that's where most people were like,
I
who
think,
is
yeah,
this guy?
yeah.
Because he was just so
It's
animated.
Dave he's the non-Italian version of Sebastian Maniscalco when I look at him. Like it's
yeah.
yeah.
Familiar
You've never
with
seen
his
him.
work,
He's
yeah.
I would say he's the Italian Dave Bastel. This is what I say.
Have you written that to him? He should. That should be on his website.
Oh, if we could get him, who else do I see? And then there's guys who have passed, and sometimes you find their work a little bit late. Mitch Hedberg to me killed me.
Oh yeah,
Such
man,
a
yeah,
different
he was-
style.
he
Awesome,
was
though.
Incredible.
Yeah.
You know what's interesting? I was working out in Edmonton, and this guy was driving us on this tour, and he had booked Mitch Hedberg way before anybody knew who Mitch Hedberg was. And he said he bombed so hard out in these
Oh,
like Alberta towns.
Oh, yeah.
Um,
There's a lot of them too.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And he's
Yeah.
like, every night this guy just was bombing. And then he goes, like 4 months later, he's on Just for Comedy Central or whatever,
Yeah.
crushing.
Yes.
And this guy's like, whoa, what the? And it was just,
Wow.
different crowds just don't.
So
Get it.
What does the schedule look like for you? We're early 2018.
Yeah.
Going into a cold part of what Canadian winter's all about. If we haven't already got it.
Yeah.
Where can people see you? I know we got an international audience right now, and
Do you have an international?
we do.
Yeah.
Wow.
And just so you know,
That's
I just
amazing.
realized I haven't paid for parking. So as you're talking, I'm going back once again to the Thank You Green Pea app to see if I don't know if so continue talking so I don't get a ticket.
fire away,
No
Jeff.
problem. Yeah, so we got some dates coming up in February. I'm going to be in St. Catharines at Showtime Comedy Club, and Sarnia, where we filmed that special.
Right.
Not at the same venue, but at the Big Fish Steak and Lounge. I think is on February 24th, and then this is very exciting. In April, I'm going to be doing another special, and this time in my hometown, London, Ontario. We're going to do it at the London Music Hall, and the idea behind this is to take it and then get it sold to Netflix, or
Wicked.
ideally Netflix, because that's where kind of the hub of comedy specials is happening
Yeah.
right now.
Oh, it's amazing what they have on there.
Yeah.
Bill Burr's got a new one. Patton Oswalt. I
Love,
mean, they just
love
yeah,
all those.
Yeah.
Patton Oswalt is amazing. It's also
Gary
very,
Goldman is another one of my favorites, and I just don't understand why he's not. Like, people know who he is in the comedy world, but if I say Gary Goldman out here,
right.
there'll
Not
be
a
half the people don't
household
know who I'm talking about.
name. No,
Brilliant guy, brilliant material.
Very, very
Yeah.
good comic. Very dry. I love. Have you seen Tourgasm with Dane Cook?
No, I haven't.
It's an old show. It's like
Because he got a lot of almost hate at some point. I don't know if it was a
Oh.
jealousy thing, but you had a lot of
Well-
comics going on a lot of shows, like even going on Joe Rogan,
Yeah.
just throwing him under the bus, hating this guy.
Yeah, Dane Cook, who I love and have a lot of respect for, but he changed the game really. He
I
was
think so, too.
He was the first guy to use. He used MySpace, which was
In the day, yeah.
the Facebook before Facebook or
Yeah,
whatever.
true.
But he used that to build his audience, and what happened was a lot of the older comics, like I don't know if it was like the Jay Leno's of the world, not necessarily him, but I mean
Right.
that
The old
era,
guard, or yeah,
the era of like build your go city to city and build, and
because Leno worked like 400 dates out
Oh, it
of
was crazy,
320, like
yeah.
a crazy.
it was
schedule.
insane. It was insane before he got the Tonight
Yeah.
Show, and then when he had the Tonight Show, he was working every weekend.
Yeah.
And claimed, I don't know if this is true, but claimed he never touched any of his Tonight Show money. Only lived off being a comic because that's all he ever wanted to do. So his Tonight Show money
Oh,
is
who
like
knows?
sitting
He's-
somewhere apparently. Anyway, yeah. So Dane Cook took a lot of heat, but who cares? I mean, he exploded and did exactly what he had to
And
do.
his style, like you said, and this is the other thing too. I was a game, this sort of really off the cuff. I mean, obviously it's written, it's material, but it was very, I don't know, just where it came from. It wasn't like doing a bit on something. He just seemed to, it was very conversational in what he did,
Right.
and very young.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people borrowed from that, to be honest. I think a lot of guys did.
Yeah, there was a real trend. It's dying down a little bit now. I see a lot of Bill Burr, Louis C.K. type stuff now.
Bill Burr's one of my favorites. Nick Swartzen's very funny too, I think.
Nick Swartzen, I did a show at the Hollywood Improv, and I went on last on this show. So technically headliner, but you just drew a last spot.
Yeah.
And the host goes up. I'm done. Host goes up and he's like, "Hey, we got a guy dropping in," and it was Nick Swartzen, and he came in. And it was right before he was filming a special. I forget what year it was. And he just crushed. And not only did he come in, he comes in and like 30 people from outside just all of a sudden come right in like an I don't know if it was an entourage or if people saw him going in and came in. And he like did 15 minutes.
He'd kill because he's hilarious.
He was amazing.
Yeah.
I love Nick Swartzen's stand up and I love him in
he's great in everything.
Good, does a great job. Yeah,
so we need to get you in movies now. So we have someone famous that we know.
That's right.
Why can't you be in movies? You can be in movies.
Why can't I be?
And your grandma.
Someone.
And your grandmother.
My grandma, my grandma passed away.
No.
But,
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
In fact, oddly enough, my grandma today is the 4 year.
4 years. I bet that's tough for you because it sounds like you're from a real close family.
We are, yeah. We were very, very close, very close. I was raised by my mom, my grandma, my great grandma, and my great grandpa were alive. Like they only died a few years ago, so I knew them.
Good genes.
My whole life.
Yeah, very good for you. Well, I'm so glad that you came in here today. That was fan. Now
Thank you.
Obviously know our background sports.
Yes.
I'm guessing if you're from London, a lot of people. Wings fans, Tigers fans, unfortunately Lions fans from time to time. Do you have any of that in you? Are you a sports guy at all?
I love hockey.
Yeah.
Hockey was my thing growing up. I was a goalie for years and years.
Good for you.
And I think goalie translated into comedy, the pressure.
I was a goalie.
Were you?
So
yeah, of course, right?
Yeah.
Doesn't it make sense?
No, it does.
Yeah.
And drummer. Like I had all of them.
All
the weird stuff.
Oh, you had the drummer in you too, Yeah. I love the.
I'm amazed I'm wearing pants right now, not taking a leak like in the studio because it's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah. It really isn't. It isn't. Well, so for people watching, because we're going to throw this out on Twitter, all the social media today that we have, and those watching.
Yeah.
If they want to, so you're shooting when in London?
Yes, Saturday, April the 28th. You guys are the first people that I've told. Other than
there you go.
Friends and family, but
yeah,
couldn't be happier to make that announcement here.
Awesome.
That is
so
great.
Yeah, we're doing that, and the idea, like I said, the idea being that for the one we just did, we knew ahead of time we were going to be on Prime and do it through the website and all that stuff, and it was which is great. But for this one, we're going to make it and then actually try to get it out and hopefully utilize some of the.
How do you get it on Netflix? How does that happen? You have to obviously approach them, sell it.
Yeah, you have to know.
But you're not doing this.
No. So what would happen is
agency,
management agency.
Sure.
I also know a couple of people. I happened to luck out and find a publicity company, the Shorty brothers that you know, Daniel and Steven.
Very well.
And they know someone in I kind of know the guy too. He used to live here. Now he's in L.A.
Pete Johansson had one on there.
Pete Johansson, who
yes.
is in England now, I think.
Yes.
He lives there. But he had one. And the other thing is that Canadian Netflix, they're trying to add more Canadian, like they want to do more Canadian content as well. So, it's just a matter of making the connections. And, I think I'm at least one phone call from someone who knows someone there, and then agencies and stuff like that as well. But I want to make it, get it in the can, and then see what we can do.
Well, and the one thing I think you really do have going for you is just the style. It's so tough as a comic when material after material, a lot of guys write. They have certain perspectives. There's a lot of observational stuff, obviously, but solidly working the crowd. I mean, there's no safety net, and if you're not good at it, this would go nowhere. Like incredibly faster than even other comics who hey, he's a vegetable comic. Whatever it is, I don't know. Maybe he's working the Sobeys or whatever. He might find a crowd, but what you do. There's no halfway. There's no mailing it in. There's no okay nights.
Right.
Like, you got to kill all the time. That's really hard. So I thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. We're gonna do whatever we can. We can try to promote. Let's attack Netflix. Netflix.
Yeah, Netflix. Come on.
Yeah.
Come on, Netflix. Please.
To this interview.
Yeah. Let's tag them.
And we'll make sure your people get this too, because you were great today.
I just figure if I put it out there enough, eventually somebody's gonna go, "Hey, can you just shut up? We'll put it on. Just shut up."
best friends. Yep.